Discuss the nature and evolution of comparative politics. Comparative political is an upgraded version of comparative politics. Comparative political is a subdivision of political science which aims to the study of the comparative manner. According to M.G. Smith, comparative politics is the study of the forms of political organizations, their properties, correlations, variations, and modes of change. Nature of comparative politics. 1 hour. Analytical and empirical. Investigation. 2 study of infrastructure of a political system. 3 emphasis on the study of developing society. 4 focus on interdisciplinary approach. 5 value free political theory. 6 unsophisticated political theory. Evolution of comparative politics. Initial phase Aristotle compared more than 150 states. Romans, Polybius, and Cicero considered them in formal and legalistic terms. Machiavelli's Prince revived comparative politics in 16th century. Montesquieu Spirit of Law 17th-18th century. Link between traditional and modern phase. Modern phase 1950s behavioral revolution, fact realism, empiricism, scientific approach. 1960s and 1970s new comparative politics led by them of developmentalism and in tone with war foreign policy. The 70s and challenges to developmentalism, dependency theory. The 1980s, the return of the state. The late 20th and 21st century, globalization and ICT revolution. Context mattered. Since beginning till 1950s traditional phase, Aristotle studied the constitutions of 150 states and classified them into a typology of regimes: democracy, aristocracy, monarchy each. Distinguished them on the basis of certain norms of good governance, good and bad, ideal and perverted. Aristotelian categories were acknowledged and taken up by Romans such as Polybius 205 201 120 BC 201 120 BC and Cicero 106 43 BC, who considered them in formal and legalistic terms. Comparative study reappeared in the 15th century with Machiavelli Prince 1469-1527. The late 19th and early 20th century Eurocentrism confined to the study of institutions, governments, and regime types in European countries like Britain, France, and Germany, largely concerned with a comparative study of institutions, the distribution of power, and the relationship between the different layers of government. These studies were in fact not genuinely comparative in the sense that they excluded from their analysis a large number of countries. Approach normative values of Western liberal democracies, which carried with in the baggage of racial and civilizational superiority and assumed a perspective character for the colonies, former colonies. Eurocentrism, Europe at its center, obliterating the rest of the world colonized or liberated from colonization, colonization as people without histories or we who be whose histories were born with and destined to follow the trajectories already followed by the advanced countries of the West. 1950s post to and World War era modern phase. Comparative study till the 1940s was predominantly the study of institutions, the legal constitutional principles regulating them, and the manner in which they functioned in Western European liberal democracies. Powerful critique of the institutional approach emerged in the middle of 1950 behavioralism. Behavioralism developing an inquiry which was quantitative based on survey techniques involving the examination of empirical facts separated from values to provide value neutral, non perspective, objective observation and scientific explanation of human behavior. Notion of politics was broadened, emphasis on realism or politics in practice as distinguished from mere legalism or theoretical included less formally structured agencies, behaviors and a process that is political parties, interest groups, elections, voting behavior, attitudes, its decline in the centrality of the notion of the state itself, development of frameworks which would facilitate comparisons on a large scale, primitive or advanced or non-Western political system approach.